Do you ever feel like you've checked all the boxes of success, but deep down you still wonder, is this really it? You're not alone, and that's exactly why I wrote Discovering Your Calling, the Ambitious Woman's Guide to Finding Fulfillment, Freedom, Impact, and Joy. One reader said, "This book is more than just a career guide. It's a catalyst for transformation." Another called it empowering, insightful, and exactly what ambitious women need. Inside, I'll walk you through 8 powerful phases or waypoints to help you uncover your strengths, reignite your dreams, and finally create a career and life that feels like it was designed for you. Don't keep drifting. Don't keep settling. Your calling is waiting, and this book will show you how to claim it. Grab your copy of Discovering Your Calling today, available now on Amazon. You know those thoughts in the middle of the night when you suddenly wake up at, 3 a.m. and your mind starts spinning? When everything else is quiet, yet your thoughts are louder than ever. That, my friend, is what I call your wake-up call. And if you've been ignoring or perhaps hitting snooze on those 3 a.m. thoughts, this episode is for you. Welcome to the Discovering Your Calling podcast. I'm your host, Sheri. I'm here to help you unleash your strengths and get clarity on your calling. I believe when you find your purpose in life, fulfillment, joy, and success will follow. If you're ready, pop in those earbuds, hit that follow button, and join me on this journey toward discovering your calling. Hey, my friends, it's Sheri, and we're back for a message that kind of came to me today after a friend sent me a text. She texted me this morning, and she said that she woke up in the middle of the night with a deep yearning for a bigger life. But admittedly, she said fear was holding her back. And it got me thinking about how many times I've listened and actually acted on those 3 a.m. thoughts. And honestly, how many times I've let fear override them and never did a thing about those 3 a.m. thoughts. It also brought me back to the blog I just wrote about the need to create quiet space in our lives. You see, I believe those middle of the night or early morning thoughts are the holy ones, the messages from our Maker calling us to step into our greatness. They're the true thoughts that come before the scroll, before the inbox, before the noise, the whispers of something deeper. They're the thoughts that come before the world tells you what you should be doing, before the comparison begins. They're the thoughts that might sound like, I know I'm meant for something more, but I don't know what it is. Or maybe, how can I use my strengths in a way that actually matters? Or that thought of there's something I need to create, something that feels more like me. Or maybe it's that idea that stirs your heart and soul, something that you would love to bring to life. These are the thoughts that rise up when the distractions fall away. Because as we all know, once we wake up and the phone lights up and the scroll starts, or we get online and the comparison sets in, and those other nudges, quiet nudges, those godly nudges get drowned out with thoughts like, well, she just got promoted again. Should I think about going after the next promotion instead of changing career paths? Those thoughts of maybe I should just stay put until retirement, at least it's safe. The thoughts of if I change now, what will others think? Or if I started my passion project, I'd have to hire a web designer and do all the things, and I don't have time for that. My friend, those thoughts are not your calling speaking. Those are all the thoughts of the world, all the worldly thoughts, all the noise. They're caused by the noise that we hear. Whereas the true wake-up call comes from that quieter, wiser space, the space where your soul and God whispers the truth about who you're really meant to be and what's next for you. Those are the thoughts that rise up when the distractions fall away. Does that sound familiar? Have you had both of those thoughts, the quiet thoughts, the 3 a.m. thoughts, and also the negative thoughts, the worldly thoughts? I think we all have, if we're being honest. I know I have. But the question is, why are we not listening to the 3 a.m. thoughts? What's keeping us from fulfilling those thoughts that we have in the middle of the night if they are the godly thoughts? Because the true wake-up call comes from that quieter, wiser space, the space where your soul and God are whispering the truth about who you're meant to be and what's next. If that's true, then why are we ignoring it? Why don't we act on those thoughts? Why do we roll over, hit the snooze button on those wake-up calls, and go back to the safe and familiar? It's usually because of fear. Maybe it's fear of failure, fear of change. Sometimes, if we're being totally honest, it's even fear of success. And then, the 3 saboteurs can set in. The 3 saboteurs I talk about in my book. The sharks, which are the voices of others circling around with their opinions and doubts and all the reasons why you shouldn't do something. The other saboteur, the danger buoys, those warning signs we invent about ourselves, to ourselves. The what ifs. What if I fail? What if this doesn't work? What if? And then the anchors. They're the habits, patterns, or old beliefs that no longer serve us, but they only keep us stuck where we are. And we tell ourselves it's not the right time. We don't know how, or we need to just, find a little bit more clarity first before we take action on these ideas that we hear in the middle of the night. But here's the truth. Clarity doesn't come from thinking about it. It comes from acting on it. So what do? How do you answer the call? How do you respond in a positive, life-giving way to those 3 a.m. nudges? How do you answer it? How do you not hit that snooze button? Here's the thing. I want you to think about what would happen if you believed that the biggest risk isn't failure, but it's never becoming the person you're called to be. How would you respond to that 3 a.m. nudge if you really took that to heart? And what if, instead of believing that answering your wake-up call has to mean jumping off a cliff into the unknown, that you realized you can build something new while keeping your safety net in place? What if that was the thought? What if it didn't have to feel so scary? Because here's the thing, answering and acting upon your wake-up call doesn't have to mean quitting your job tomorrow or burning everything down that you've built in your life. It could simply mean creating space to just explore what's next. So if your thought that are keeping you awake sounds something like this, those thoughts of, I'm ready to use my gifts in a new way, or I want to do work that actually matters to me, or I need to find more freedom in my life, or like my friend, it's just a yearning for something bigger, something that uses your God-given gifts to fulfill your true calling. If those are the thoughts that keep you awake or wake you up at 3 a.m. or nudge you awake before your real alarm clock goes off, what if those thoughts that you're having, not only are they trying to tell you something, but what if there was a way that you could peacefully and strategically act upon those 3 a.m. thoughts? To act upon that wake-up call, to actually not hit the snooze button and say, yes, I'm going to get up and do something about this yearning, about this thought, about this thing I've been dreaming about. The answer I have for you today is what's called a portfolio career. Now, if you haven't heard of this, a portfolio career is basically, in a nutshell, about creating multiple streams of work and income. They all align with your strengths, your values, and your calling, but maybe it looks like keeping your 9-to-5 job, that safety net, while you work on something else. Maybe it's about following through on a couple of different dreams that could lead to multiple ways of earning income. Creating a portfolio career isn't about hustling harder. It's about building a foundation of freedom and security so that when you do answer that wake-up call, you can do it with peace of mind and not panic. It might look like starting something small. Maybe it's you use your weekends to test a creative idea that keeps nudging you at 3 a.m. in the morning. Maybe if your wake-up call thought is about, could I freelance consultant? Who else needs to know what I wish I knew when I started my career? Maybe you take just one skill from your corporate job, something you've learned, and you offer it as a freelance consultant to one person. Or maybe you just finally give that long held dream a little breathing room and you actually see what happens when you act on it. That's how you begin to create work and income options you can count on. Again, not from fear, but from faith and strategy. Now, in the next episode, I'm going to go into a lot more detail about what is a portfolio career and how you can really strategize on it. But today, I just want to give you 3 action steps you can do the next time you're nudged awake with a thought that feels like it could be the answer to your calling, so that you will answer that wake-up call and not just roll over and hit the snooze button on it. So these are 3 simple steps you can take. Step number 1, write it down. Yes, even if it is 3 a.m. in the morning. I keep a pen and paper by my bedside just for those moments. Capture what you're hearing, even if it doesn't even fully make sense yet. Write it down. Sometimes it's just going to be a sentence. Sometimes it's a feeling you need to write down. Maybe it's a phrase. My friend had a poem pop up in her head. So what is it? Just write it down. It doesn't need to make sense, but just capture the idea when it's happening. And that will lead you to step number 2. When daylight hits, take one small action step on it. Maybe that means researching the idea a little deeper. Perhaps it's ordering a book that expands your thinking. Maybe it's talking to a mentor or a coach or a friend. Maybe it's just sitting aside 30 minutes to brainstorm more on it. But here's the thing, step number 2 is vital because action is the cure for fear. And that leads to step number 3. Replace the what ifs with what's next. Because fear is going to keep saying over and over again, what if it doesn't work? What if this? What if that? Whereas faith will start to say, what's the next step I can take today? I like to shift the question from, can I really do this? To, how can I do this? So replace the can I with the how. Replace the what ifs with the what next. That's your step number 3, because that's the mentality it takes to go back to step number 2, to take action. Because if we don't take action, we're always going to be stuck thinking about that thought. And eventually those 3 a.m. thoughts fade away. Here's my thought on it. A lot of thoughts here. I feel like when God nudges us at 3 a.m. or 5 a.m. or whatever time it is in that quiet time, He's speaking to us, but He's not going to keep on doing it. Eventually, the voices fade away. Eventually, the wake-up call doesn't come anymore if you don't start to take action on it. You'll stop hearing it, and you'll go back to mediocrity. You'll go back to the same old, same old. You'll go back to staying in a career that no longer feels like your calling because it feels okay. You'll go back to just listening to the worldly voices instead of the godly voices. And I don't want that for you, and I don't think you want that for yourself as well. So again, those 3 steps to take when you do hear that wake-up call next time. Write it down. When the light hits, take one small action step on it. And step number 3, replace the what ifs with the what's next, or replace the can I really do this with the how can I do this. So if your wake-up call, my friend, as we close this out, is nudging you towards something new, whether it's a side project, a passion business, or simply more meaning in the work and career you're in right now. Maybe you know that you're in your career, but you're just being called to do things a little bit differently, or rise to a different level, or to change something up, to be the disruptor there. I want to help you explore that with a safe and strategic way. And we've created a new quiz for you, and it's called, Is It Time to Build Your Portfolio Career? And in this, you take the quiz, there's like 10 questions here, and it'll show you where you are on your journey and give you a personalized action step. One small move you can take today to start building a life and career you can count on. Because here's the thing, you don't have to leave it all behind to step into what's next. You just have to answer the call. One step, one idea, one act of courage at a time. And remember, those 3 a.m. thoughts aren't there to keep you awake. They're there to wake you up. Are you ready for this? And again, if you're curious to learn more about building a portfolio career, Make sure you follow or subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss the next episode. We'll be talking all about what a portfolio career really means and how it could be the key to discovering your calling and answering those 3 a.m. calls. All right, I'll see you back here next time. Make sure you go take the quiz. The link is in the show notes. Thank you for spending this time with me. My hope is something you heard today inspires you to take action toward discovering your calling. I just have 2 favors to ask of you before you go. 1, if you found value and enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and you might hear your review read on a future episode. And 2, can you share this episode with 3 friends who will also enjoy it as much as you did? By doing these things, you will help us grow the podcast to make a bigger impact on the world. And until next week, remember, you've been created to live a life of fulfillment, freedom, purpose, success, and joy.